Hey! Ja. Nee. That was so close. Hello and welcome to the Reykjavík Grapevine's Newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson. I'm an editor-in-chief at the Reykjavík Grapevine. This year is Pollý, of course, my chief of morale officer. Keep me with me to make me happy, more or less. We're here at Geirsnef. We're going here basically just for Pollý, because Pollý needs her two daily runs actually. And this is her favorite area. We've been here once before, and there are a lot of dogs around here, and it's wonderful actually. We call it the dog island in Reykjavík. But before we start actually with news, a lot of things is happening. Then, yes, appelsín. I have to show you this. This is classic, almost legendary kind of a drink. I always drank this when I was a kid. You put like a licorice straw into it, which is hollow within, and you drank from it. We drank this in the cinema and so on, and it's absolutely wonderful drink. And it's I'm not sure if anything. I haven't tasted anything like this in any country I've been traveling to. But then again, I love Coke, Coca-Cola, so I'm not much for that. So this is in our Icelandic classic box, and you will find it down here in the link if you want to buy something in our online shop. And we have a ton of stuff, music, culture, and just classic stuff, of course. We need that also. And then, yeah, let's go into the news. The biggest news that's actually happening right now, and we can't really avoid it, it's not the most fun stuff, but it's very important for Icelanders. This is the selling of the shares in the Bank of Iceland, or Íslandsbanki. This bank is one of three biggest banks in Iceland. It used to be called Glitnir in 2008, but it was nationalized after it collapsed completely with all of our financial infrastructure, more or less. Our banks, of course, completely crashed in 2008. Instead of bailing them out, the government literally just decided to privatize them to avoid the nation sucking in with them down into that black hole of debts. This came out as a very good solution. Was very controversial at the time, but it seems that it was completely right. So, Icelandic government, or us the taxpayers, we have now owned these banks for a little bit over a decade. All of these people, like the CEOs and so on, not all of them of course, but a lot of them, they did a lot of crimes while they were running these banks. This was mostly manipulating the markets and so on. It's a blue-collar stuff, but nonetheless, we jailed a lot of them. For example, some of the worst frauds that happened was actually in Glitnir, which is now Íslandsbanki. Now, here's the thing. We have owned these banks for a long time, and the Independence Party, they have the financial minister, Bjarni Benediktsson, and this man is they are to the right, but just for you to understand, to the right in Icelandic politics, it's not like being in the Republican Party in the US, or the conservatives in the UK. So a little bit more complicated, politics perhaps, not perhaps complicated, but it's the Scandinavian politics, or the Nordic politics are, we have more emphasis on welfare system and so on. But that said, the Independent Party still is very loyal to the idea to privatize everything. Everything that they can actually. They even want to privatize things within the health sector and so on, but something that the Icelanders are never very happy about. What do you want me to do, Art? Go over? Okay. Art is just pointing somewhere. So the thing is that the government, which is now three parties, they are the Left Greens, they are the Progressive Party, which is like the Farmers Party. The Left Greens are obviously to the left and they love green. They are all about the nature. And then we have the Independence Party, which is old established party and all about being independent, right? Of course, this is like a grotesque simplification, of course, about all of this. So the thing is that they decided to sell shares in this bank, Íslandsbanki, and this is the first time since 2008 that Pollý, come on. Are you getting this? Yeah, Pollý really likes water. Did I tell you that? She just finds some water and she just bathes in it. But thankfully, then we go to Art's car and he have to clean it afterwards. Perhaps we should take mine next time. So just to keep on with the news. They have sold shares in the bank in two different times. It started in June, where we sold like a big portion of the bank actually, but we did not go with 50%. But then, I mean, it was controversial, but not that much perhaps. Then they sold another batch this time, and that happened just this month, in the end of March, sorry. Yeah, I love this area. There's always a lot of dogs here, and it's wonderful. Yeah. Whoa. So, I told you about this news, of course, a while ago in the newscast, and we didn't know about the list of buyers at that time. And the government, they actually promised us to show us the list. But, like a good government, they tried to hide this a little bit. So it took us more than these few days that we expected to get the list. It took actually a few weeks. And the reason was because a government body that oversaw this sale, they said that there was like privacy laws around this. The government said, well, no, because the owners of this bank is obviously the public, and therefore they have the right to know who they're selling their own stuff to. And rightly so. So we got the list. And the list is something. Everything blew up in the media because on this list, just like the most obvious, perhaps odd scandal here is that the father of the financial minister bought a share in the bank, and the financial minister, Bjarni Benediktsson, in the Independence Party, he said afterwards that he had no idea. Actually, he asked him specifically not to buy in the bank because he was so connected. For some reason, his father didn't listen to him, and he bought, and it wasn't like a big share. It wasn't a big share in the bank. It was, and it's not really that much of a scandal, but it reminds us of the old Iceland when we were actually having these. When like our system was more or less just nepotism and quite the corruption. And Icelandic corruption is often in like this, in nepotism, and in this like it's a little bit different perhaps than you see in other countries, but still not. Corruption is always the same, and it's always nepotism in some ways. But we are pretty brutal in it. Other things also in the same sale. Is that the Financial Supervisory Authority is now investigating sales advisors. They actually helped like the government. They were paid 700 million Icelandic krona to find buyers to buy these shares. But then we found out that not only did they do that, but they used probably these 700 millions, we're not sure, to buy their own shares in the bank that they were trying to sell. This might actually be illegal, but it's not clear still, but it's obviously something shady, right? And it seems basically that Icelanders just can't privatize a bank without everything going, well, badly, wrong. It becomes like a trust issue. And Icelanders, and especially Icelandic bankers, they desperately need trust, because one of the reasons, like, they gave a huge discount. And when I talk about huge discount, they gave 5 krona per share. Doesn't sound much, but for 500 billions, these ended up being like 2 billions in discount for all of these investors. And these investors were, for example, like very familiar names from the crash in 2008. For example, the former the former chairman of Glitnir, now Íslandsbanki, he bought again in the bank now, and he's under an investigation of bribery scandal in Africa, in the country of Namibia. So it's a mess. And just to make things a little bit more weirder, then we have now the Minister of Business Affairs. Her name is Lilja Alfreðsdóttir, and she is in the Progressive Party, and they are in coalition with the Independence Party. And she says now that she criticized the sale of the bank, and she was quite harsh about it. And she stepped out the other day, and she was very open about this. Now then, the Prime Minister, Katrín Jakobsdóttir, she now says, well, if she did, she never told us in a clear way. She never booked it, like in these meetings. I mean, you can have all kind of opinions in the meeting, but it doesn't really mean anything if you do not object properly. And she did not do this, according to Katrín Jakobsdóttir. So this is seen as opportunism, perhaps because there are elections in a municipality within a month, actually, 1.5 months. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, but I think it's safe to say that the government, they completely messed up this sale. I mean, the trust is absolutely none. The public are not very happy about this. The auditor, the government auditor is on the case. Doesn't sound like very exciting, but it is, because they are pretty good office, and they often can reveal a lot of things, and the criticism from them can be quite brutal. So one of these also political upends here is that a lot of people, prominent people, have said that the financial minister should actually resign because of this. Now, he is the most powerful person in Iceland, and he doesn't resign unless he wants to. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. The public doesn't seem to be that upset about it. There were protests the other day, and there were around perhaps 500 people there or something, which is not that much when it comes to this. So I don't know how it's going to go, but it could, I guess, be worse for the politicians, and once again a little bit better for Icelanders. So here is one story though. This is pretty local, but it means, I'm telling this because a lot of people in Iceland that are English speaking or Polish and whatnot, they are in this union Efling in Iceland, and this union has been in kind of a war. They've been very militant, for a very long time. After the union leader Solveig Anna was elected as the leader of the union. Solveig Anna, in my opinion, is a very impressive union leader. She's very strong, and she's very one-minded in some ways. And it's not in a bad way. She got a pretty impressive negotiation with companies when it came to wages for people, like for those that have the lowest income, and she's been doing a lot of good work. But here's the thing: for some reason, she has this very odd war with her own staff members within the union office. This means that she actually resigned as a union leader earlier this year. She resigned earlier this year, only to go run again for the same office. And she won again. Incredible, actually. My money was not on her, but Bjartmar, my friend at Stundin, he won that bet. He said she was always going to win. And so she did. And she won with a pretty convincing victory. But the thing is that she announced yesterday, she proposed for the board of the Efling that they should fire all of the staff at Efling, the office. And so they did. They agreed to this. So all the staff has been fired from the office, And Vísir.is actually told us about this, reported about it, and it's incredible. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen a union leader just exiling the staff members, but there has been so much fight between the office and her past weeks, months and year, that this is becoming unbearable. It's very public, very ugly, so it's going to be interesting to see how this actually might go. And a small update before we go to the last story. Sigurður Ingi, he is the chairman of the Progressive Party, the farmers' party in Iceland, and he actually I was telling you about this, that he had these racist remarks. He referred to an Icelandic woman, she's of Asian origin or something like that, and he referred to her as the black one. She got hurt about this. His assistant actually lied about it, like flat out, that he never said that, and so on. But the ethical committee at the parliament, they are going to investigate this. So it's going to be interesting to see it. Just for you to know, it doesn't really mean much. He's not going to be forced to resign if he get like a, what do you call it, not a sentence, but it's like slap on the wrist or whatever. But it's going to be embarrassing, even more embarrassing. So it's going to be interesting to see it. But once again, these cases take time. So this might actually be, you could see the result of this perhaps later this year, even next year. Yes, and finally, an American traveler died in an avalanche in Iceland. This happened before the weekend, around the weekend. These were 3 people. They were born 1988, very experienced skiers and outdoors people, and they were doing everything right, but they were close to Dalvík. It was in Svarfaðardalur. It doesn't really tell you much, I guess. But it's a very rocky mountain area in the north of Iceland, not that far from Akureyri. Takes an hour or 2 to drive there. And they were there skiing, and for some reason they were an avalanche went down. They all went with it down, and one of them died, and the other 2 are very gravely injured. This area is actually notorious, but for a long time ago, in 1953, a family was killed there, actually in a avalanche, in a similar situation. So it's like it's an area that you should be be careful at. The U.S. Embassy, they contacted the family according to RÚV, which is our national broadcast, and the accident is under investigation. It's unclear when the result will come out of anything about that. But it's just a good reminder. I mean, Iceland is quite dangerous, no matter how smart or good or like how good you are in the outdoors thing. It's a tricky country often, and especially it's been very I've noticed it's very popular these days to go on skiing and climbing these mountains, and these mountains can be like very, very dangerous, especially if the snow is hanging there. And right now it's like we have weather, it rains down to like -4 up to, for example, now it's 7 degrees, so it can be like it's not a good time for hiking actually, or skiing or anything. So, actually saddens me to hear this, but so it goes. This is it for the newscast. Remember, of course, and I encourage you, I dare you actually to try this out. This is such a brilliant drink. I always go back to my childhood memories, like when I was a kid, having a hot dog in July and an apple that your grandmother gave you or something. And we use this for like our Christmas ale and everything. It's wonderful. And remember also our podcast. It came out yesterday actually, and then today, and we go in depth into the bank, the selling of the Bank of Iceland, or Íslandsbanki. It's a very complicated scandal, but it's a very interesting one, and Icelanders are completely out of luck when it comes to privatizing banks, I guess. So it's going to be interesting. It's me, Andy, Sophia, and Julia and Gatis, of course. We go over that case in our newest podcast. So until next time, take care. We will probably not be here on Thursday because of Easter. We're just gonna go and have a vacation. I hope you forgive us that and understand. Yeah, until then, me and Pollý, we're just gonna throw a little bit and play with the dogs. Oh.